Thanks, Rob. Thank you guys all for joining. I know some of you missed the in-person one. It would have been great to sort of see everybody in person. I also know we have lots of people on here who have, been there, done that as the president. So thank you for making time today to, find some more nuggets about our district, learn more about what's going on in the district, and to be able to share some of that with our club. That's really the goal today. So thank you guys all for your time, first of all. I do have a few slides to share, but I really do just enjoy kind of seeing everybody's faces. So I'm going to kind of go through the first few thoughts without slides, if you'll let me. This year's theme, so every year Rotary has a theme, right? Many of you might already know, but this year's theme is the magic of Rotary. The magic of Rotary there's a nice story about it on, I won't go through it today, but if you want to hear about how the thought of the name kind of came to be, there's Stephanie Yurchuk, our incoming RI president, has a great video on RI website that's quite moving if you have a moment to lead and to listen to it. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. Stephanie Urchuk will start her year July 1st, and she will end her year in our district essentially for the international convention. So it's a very exciting year for our district, and there's lots of exciting things to talk about. There are familiar faces in the Zoom room, but there's some unfamiliar ones too, and I really look forward to meeting everybody over the next year. But just to give you a little background of how is it that I've come to be in the role, and what's my Rotary background. I was an exchange student, so back in 2006 2007 I started out as an exchange student. I went to Germany. My district, where I grew up, was in Ontario, so they sponsored me, and I had an amazing year as an exchange student. I was really moved by the entire experience. I mean, it changed a lot about the way that I saw the world, and figured out who I was within the values of what it means to be a Rotarian. So service above self and the four-way test, and some of those values that we hold dear as Rotarians are somewhat impossible to pull out of me now, because as an exchange student it was just so ingrained. 365 days of Rotary-based action can really make a big cool change on a person. So I started out as a youth exchange student, then I was an Interact Club, RILA, Rotaract Club. That's where I met my husband. When you do see me running around Alberta and in Saskatchewan, you'll likely see my 3 kids in tow. I have a 6-year-old named Harris, a 4-year-old named Maya, and she's the third child, so I always forget how old she is, 16-month-old from as well, named Sophia. So you'll have to forgive us for some of our loudness sometimes, potentially, but we're hoping to let them, to get them to see their backyards. We're in Calgary, and Calgary is home for us, but as a country girl myself, kind of wanting to go out and learning about our community around us, this makes it a great opportunity for our family. So thank you for the opportunity. There'll be more, I think, for us to talk about when I come to your clubs. But one of the passion projects that I have, obviously, is youth. So youth programs and encouraging more exchange students and things of that nature. And obviously lots of push towards what we're going to be doing in for the convention year. There's just so much going on for the convention year that's really the going to be a big push for us, for our district. So as an update of what's going on in the district this year, there's going to be some governance changes, some smaller changes going on within the what it means to be a district. We are stripping down to some basics. Membership wise, we're doing better than we've done in a long time, but our numbers are still at risk of being below 1,400 in our district. And at some point, our membership gets lower and lower. At some point, we're no longer District 5360 as our borders currently are, and we start to become a larger district and become merged with others. So there's a real risk there. So we need to work together to continue to push towards that, and we're doing great things. And Jeff's going to talk about membership today, but it's really something that as leaders in our clubs that we need to have on on the back of our mind. My slides here on the side just popped around, but that's okay. So that's one thing we might see. Some of the other programs and things that will be going on that we will be focusing on, the International Convention. I've said it a couple times now. There's a lot of excitement. We need everyone to be there. What an amazing opportunity for for us as Rotarians to host the world in our district. And to really encourage our club members who may not have ever been to an international convention to attend. What a great opportunity to make us to make Rotarians in our district that much more enthusiastic about what the real world of Rotary truly is, right? I think the first time you go to an international convention, you truly understand how big the Rotary world is and how many people are doing so many great things. So I'm excited for our opportunities for that. We will be focusing on membership. We'll be focusing on public image. You're going to hear Chad talk a little later today about some exciting things with public image. There's going to be something that we're launching called the Polio Plus Society. So that is a $100 US pledge over I think it's 3 or 4 years. I'm forgetting now the number, so don't quote me on it. But we're going to be encouraging members to sign up and pledge because we really are this close. I know we've been this close for a while. COVA's put us back a bit, but we really are this close. Again, I talked about increasing our youth programs. What we won't be doing this year, we won't be doing the Move for Polio in the way that we've done it historically for the last couple of years. If you want to do a Move for Polio, amazing, do it. We're supportive. Our polio chair, Marlene Doherty, will support you all the way with whatever you need. If you want to do a putt for polio, whatever it is that you're doing for polio, make it happen. It's awesome. Great work. We're just not going to do it as a district initiative in the same way that we have the last couple of years. The Secret 3K, something that we've been doing. Martin Parnell introduced that a couple years back. It's still something that we could join and be a part of, but the district's not going to put so much energy in promoting it at a district level, if that makes sense. And then we're not going to do a district conference, which is sad to some extent because district conferences are those opportunities for us to really, engage with our fellow Rotarians within the district that we don't always see all the time. But we have an even bigger and better celebration that is going to be happening, and that's the convention. So we're looking forward to having all of our members there. There's talks about things like for those that Calgary isn't, or the area around Calgary isn't home, to have one hotel that's just 5360 focused, to have a little Yahoo we did it party afterwards. We're going to need all the volunteers we can get from our district, and really that's going to be that's the reason we're not doing the district conference. So sad, but exciting on another side of things. When Chad talks about public image, you're going to see some things with the club visits. My goal is to have all the club visits done outside of Calgary by September 1st and within Calgary by October 1st. So you'll have already probably seen emails coming out from Vince about that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to check in, but we're looking forward to it. Like I said, it'll be my entire family joining. It won't be that they're going to be joining the meeting necessarily, but they'll be all around on the journey. And we have a big, massive RV, sort of Dan Doherty style, that we're going to be kicking around in for the next few months. So yeah, if I look a little haggard, just give me a hug when I get to the meeting, and I think I'll be all right. Local service projects and local service clubs and community leadership things, those are things we want to profile on our social medias. There's so much wealth in our clubs. All of our clubs are community leaders, so let's try to find ways to profile and learn from other clubs that are doing great things in public image and social media. I'm not going to dump over membership because Jeff's got that, but just we want to make sure that we're thinking about new club types as well. What about, subscription models for our members? What other options and other ways are there? Let's be creative. Whatever idea you have, let's try it, right? If it works for your club, that's awesome. And it is an exciting spot to be. With that, we also have the conversation of Rotaract elevation. Rotaract in our district is not doing so well. It could be doing much better. And Nathan is our new incoming leader, and together at the district, we're working towards finding ways to support Rotaract in their elevation and creating autonomy in the Rotary program or the Rotaract program, so that that they're successful. One more slide to say that I need you guys as my eyes and ears. I really need you to let me know what I call a bug report. So bad, ugly, and good. So tell me what's going on. Let me know the bad. It doesn't hurt me if you say, hey, Christina, this sucks. Stop doing it. If you don't tell me, I won't know about it. We have a difficulty sometimes, not as just as humans, not as Rotarians, in really just saying, you know what, this isn't working. Just because you tell me something bad or ugly doesn't mean that, we're gonna be able to find a solution to it. But it means that we can work together towards solutions. And I want to be here for you, but if you don't tell me what's going on, it's hard for me to support, or for the district in general to support. So bad, ugly, and good, let me hear it. I want to hear what all the good things, all the bad things, all the ugly things. All Nothing is too bad for me to hear. So what I'm going to do when I flip it back over to Rob is throw my cell phone number in the chat. Please mark it down, throw it in your phone right away, and throw my name in. I'm not going to be great. I'm honest here. I'm not going to be great at answering my emails. If you've sent me an email, you've seen I have this annoying out of office thing that comes back saying, I'll try to get back to you in 5 days. It's just, especially in the beginning when I'm doing all the visits, it's going to be hard to do that. So if you need me, text me, call me. I love chatting with people. Emails sometimes, we don't get the opportunity to connect through that. So feel free to send me a text, give me a call. I'm definitely available. Don't be, thwarted by my out of office Rotary email. Okay. The last thing I wanted to say is remind us, or I mostly just like saying the Rotary vision statement because I think it's a great vision statement. So I'm going to share it one more time, and I think it's something that provides me a lot of excitement and encouragement of what it means to be a Rotarian. So forgive me while I read it, but together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. What a great statement we have. If we can work, 1% to get 1% better as a district over the next year, I think that's going to be an amazing accomplishment, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. So thank you, and I'll flip it back over to Rob.
Thanks, Christina. Really looking forward to your year. Nathan, we're going to jumble around the agenda a little bit here. So I'm going to ask Nathan to take the floor for about 15 minutes just to talk about bridging the gap between Rotaract and Rotary. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for calling me up to the plate early, Rob. I kind of like what Christina just did, which is kind of ditch the slides and just be able to see everybody's faces. So I think I'm going to take on that approach. So I'm a member of the University of Calgary Rotaract Club. I just finished my first year of studying biomedical sciences there. It was great. My first year in Rotaract, so I'm kind of new to the business, but really happy and excited to be able to present to you guys and talk about what Rotaract looks like in our district currently. So to begin, there's 3 Rotaract clubs in our district. There's one at the University of Calgary, one at the University of Lethbridge, and then a community club based in Calgary called Rotaract United. Rotaractors are people, I guess in our district at least, are students or people in the earlier stages of their career. So this can mean that they're very new to their communities, meaning like they may have just moved here for school or work and they don't know a lot of people. So Rotaract's a great way for these young adults to get to know other people in these communities through service and through fellowship. So I can personally attest to the fact that I've been able to meet like a lot of incredible and wonderful people outside of my own discipline because of Rotaract and the different people it kind of brings together and this passion that they have for service. I think Rotaract is best described by its name, and it comes from Rotary in action. Rotaractors are people who want to volunteer, they want to get involved, they want to try new things. So we do, as a club, we do a lot of like volunteering events. This past year, we did an event where we helped out at the drop-in center. We do a lot of fundraising events and fellowship events as well. Rotaract is considered to be a Rotary membership type. Previously, it used to be a youth program within Rotary. As Christina mentioned, it's since been elevated to now be this membership type. And I want to talk a little bit about what this means. So Rotaractors and Rotaract clubs now pay fees to Rotary International. And what this does is it really does provide young adults like myself with many opportunities for not only personal but also professional development. So this is like different opportunities that we now have available to us are things like the Learning Center provided by the Learning and Development Committee. Rotaractors can now serve on district committees. They can join the district board, vote at the AGM. So as I said, it's a great way for now Rotaractors to become involved at a district level and really have a say in what the district does and how and their activities. In addition, there's one really big program I want to highlight, and that's our mentorship program. So this program pairs Rotaractors with Rotarians. As I said, Rotaractors are often in the early stages of their career and maybe are considering what career they want to pursue or have some questions that they don't know who they can go to have them answered. And by pairing them with a Rotarian who is in that industry, that then allows for a great connection and a great way for that Rotaractor to learn more about the career they want to pursue, or maybe in terms of like choosing exactly what career they want to pursue. We had a portion of the presentation originally that was a little more interactive. I want to try it and see how it goes over Zoom. And that's, I'm just going to ask 3 questions about Rotaract and just kind of see and get your guys' thoughts on whether or not you maybe have some ideas. I have some of my own that I can share, but we'll see how this goes. So the first question is, how should you, or maybe how have you contacted Rotaractors in a District 5360? So you can feel free to put it in the chat, unmute your mic.
How I do that, how I have done that is I've been engaged with the mentorship program and now have had the opportunity to probably mentor about 10 Rotaractors. And interestingly enough, what I've found out with that, I've actually become the mentee. And it's interesting. They have vision, they have skill set, they have the technology, and they can get the job done in the most efficient manner, which is part of using the technology, which myself as the older Rotarian and not having the digital technology, it takes me more time to do things. So I actually have been able to fast track things better with the mentorship program because they're more prepared as the partner. So that's just one good thing that I have found with my connection.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. That's so cool.
Hi, I'm with Lethbridge Sunrise, and we have a great relationship with the Rotaract Club at the University of Lethbridge. We often get members from the Rotaract Club at our meetings. Some of our members attend their meetings. We have volunteered for each other's fundraisers and just overall a great relationship between the two clubs. It's been very fulfilling for all of us.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you for sharing. I can see also someone else has put down that looks like they're involved in the mentorship program, like the district membership committee. Nice. Yeah, so I'll share some of my own. Like people have said, like mentorship program is a great way to get involved. Having Rotaractors at your meetings to kind of see how you run things, joining their meetings as well. In regards to specific mediums you can use to communicate with Rotaractors, Club Runner, there's an email list of all the club's members and Club Runner. You can contact myself. I'll put my email in the chat when I'm done. I'm in contact with all the clubs, so I can get you set up with any of the presidents if you need. So yeah, that's a couple ways you can get involved. Second question is, do you know of any Rotaractors who serve at a district level?
Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah.
Well, I know of quite a few. Well, let's see, Shivam from the UFC, Manvi, Charby, they all have participated in the district membership committee. Let's see who else. I'm trying to think of another. I know there's at least one more that I know. It just escapes me. But yeah, there's a bunch of them that participate at the district level.
Yeah, thanks for the shout outs. I see Keith's hand is up.
Yeah, thanks. I was on the New Generation Service Exchange Committee for a couple of years, and it was a great way to work with Rotaract. We had a number of members of people who've been the University of Calgary, University of Lethbridge, Rotaract. So that's a great way to get people involved at the district level.
Yeah. And I'll just say Shivam was the vice president of our club this past year. Manvi and Charvi are both co-presidents of the club, so some leaders there just to give you a better idea of who those people are. My last question, and something I want to wrap up with, I guess, is in your role, how have you, or maybe how do you hope to collaborate with Rotaract?
Else is talking. So I certainly hope to continue having Rotaractors on the district membership committee. I'm sure they're on other committees at the district level as well, and they bring a whole different perspective. And although when we start counting membership, some of our reports still only look at Rotarians, but some of them look at Rotaractors as well. I'm hoping that that's where we can put a lot of focus to grow future Rotarians beginning as Rotaractors, and that when we design the Rotary programs for the future, they're done with that in mind.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Nathan, I just noticed too. Go ahead, Cam. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say we've had a great partnership with Rotaract, attending events together, whether it's the Orange Shirt Day, or helping us get our word out through the youth, and it's been really good partnership. And Nathan's on our committee as well, so.
Thanks,
I was
Cam.
just going to note two comments in the chat in case people didn't see it. Bula mentioned that she's in Swift Current and there's no Rotaract club or Rotaractors there for her to work with. And then Colin from Sarcee said they don't deal with Rotaract, but they did provide 16,000 in scholarships to the Sir Winston Churchill Interact Club last year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Let's see.
one of the other thing, I'm in Red Deer Sunrise. So we used to have a Red Deer Rotaract club. That's how I joined Rotary, was in 2014 when we moved here. And I'm a past president of the Rotaract club. I would love to get one going again in Red Deer. We've just noticed the fact there are not actually a lot of young professionals in the area. A lot of them have moved to Calgary or Edmonton to finish off their degrees. Hopefully the Red Deer Polytechnic will help in keeping them here that age. But we had a lot that, you know, started 1 or 2 years, but then had to move to finish off their degrees. So that was our struggle here. I would love to work because we had great support from all 3 clubs, Rotary clubs in the city. And like I sat on Black Tie Bingo committee for the downtown club. We did a major project, all of the clubs, but Sunrise was one of the main leads with our Access for All playscape. playground. But yeah, it would be lovely to get it back into Red Deer with that. So
That's
So
awesome.
if I could comment, speaking from the district, we've had a Rotaractor on our district board now for how many years? 5, 6, 5 or 6, getting a 5 from and a nod-ish from Christina. And in fact, at various points, we've had 2 Rotaractors on our board out of 10 board members. That's not a bad percentage, all in all representation. And so certainly appreciate the input and views of our younger membership. Definitely a different perspective. And yeah, again, proud of it, that the fact that our board recognized that before Rotary International made it official. And Nathan, I'm glad you're going to be on our board this year as well. So thank you very much for stepping up to that.
Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, you guys were
Oh.
ahead of the curve.
And no, Megan, just a note. These days, Rotaract no longer has an upper level of 30 on the age limitation. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so makes it much,
yeah, but
looking
some
more
of
to
us are getting
community-based.
closer to 40. So
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe making, rather than a educational-based Rotaract club, maybe more of a community-based one. Maybe a way to go. Just suggesting.
Just in the essence of time, because it is a packed agenda, I'll just give Nathan a couple minutes to finish up here, then we'll move on to the next topic.
That's okay. This is my last question, so we can ride this out, I guess, till the end. You can shut it down, Rob, when you need to. But Rhea,
Yeah.
looks like you have something to share.
I was just going to ask, what is the fee to RI? What's the fee that the Rotaractor pays to RI?
That's a good question. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I believe it's $6 US for an educational based and 10 US for a community based Rotaract member.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that's correct. It's in that range if it's not exact.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I'll just end this, I guess, speaking from personal experience, with my work with CAM and the DIRC. It's been super helpful, and I felt very welcomed on the Indigenous Relations Committee. I thought, as a younger guy, don't know as much as other people on the committee, that maybe my views and my ideas wouldn't be taken as seriously, and I can say that's not the case at all. I felt very, very welcomed, and it's been a great experience for me. And I like that it's smaller too. I feel much more connected with guys like Brad, Diana, David, people on the communications subcommittee as well. Just, it's been a great experience, and I would encourage you, to keep putting Rotaractors on these committees. Yeah, that's all I have. I'll turn it back to you now, Rob.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Really appreciate it. And keep on the good work, obviously representing your club. Going to hand it over now to Vincent Tracy Vavrick. They're going to talk for about 15 minutes. Again, I know some of these topics obviously can be more detailed and in depth than what we're getting to today. Today's a snapshot of what we covered in the original Pets and Set session. So for sure, if there's any more information that you need from these great presenters, please reach out to them after the session. So to take it first, so I'm just going to try to keep us on target here. So for 15 minutes, Vincent Tracy Vavrick to touch on the Rotary Action Plan and goal setting. Go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much, Rob. I just really want to say, first off, before we get started, really appreciated the sharing. And Nathan, thank you for your tremendous support of sharing tonight and for what you've provided to all of these amazing leaders that are with us. I heard some stories here tonight around maybe not having potentially some young people in the area to explore, to bring into Rotary or to bring into Rotaract. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit as we start to go forward, because we know when we think about planning, when we are intentional in our planning, things come to fruition. Now, I am going to try to share some slides. I've only got a few slides to share tonight, but I do want to share them just because of some of the graphics to lead us through. Rob, please just let me know if there's any troubles with the sharing, because I was freezing a little bit earlier. Okay, so Vince and I are really thrilled to share with you tonight around the Rotary Action Plan. But one of the important pieces for us as we think about planning is it's not that we have to plan, but it's why are we planning? And when we start to think about community, we start to think about service above self, and the reason that we're all part of Rotary, we all desire to do more. And when Rotary was looking at the data from many years of their membership survey, what came back to them was that our members in our district and across Rotary International have said service is important. Service is one of the main reasons and the important part of why we're part of Rotary. So when we think about the importance of planning, thinking about how we can continue to engage and empower more people to join us because we know they're there. And we know that also as well, we want to ensure we have strong clubs. As Christina mentioned, our district may have a risk in the future. And that risk, we hope doesn't come to fruition, or that risk, doesn't come to fruition, but we want to also look at planning so that we're strong as clubs, we're strong as members, that the district is strong so that we can continue to go do great things together. So when we think about why we're part of Rotary, I encourage each of you to pause for a moment and just say to yourself, what is it that's keeping me in Rotary? Christina shared her story of being an exchange student and being involved prior to the exchange student of just watching and listening and seeing what was going on with the Rotarians. We know there's a purpose and a reason of why we're involved. And so when we start to look at it from our own internal sides to say, oh, wow, I get why I'm still part of Rotary. It could be the friendships, it could be the service, it could be international, it could be for polio. You know what it is. And your why is very special. So when you start to think about your why, we also know that others have whys. And so let's just take a couple minutes to hear from Rotary International on what the plan means. Oh, and I sure hope my Rob, if this doesn't sound accordingly, please let me know.
We are people of action. And when there's a challenge to confront, people of action come together and make a plan. Even as we continue to help address global challenges, we're facing one of our own. When Rotary surveyed people around the world, we found a big gap between who we are as an organization today and who we need and want to be. Our foundation is strong, but Rotary is ready to show that we can grow and become even stronger. So we established our new action plan as a roadmap for how we can think differently, be more inclusive, and become a stronger, more effective Rotary. The plan has 4 priorities. We're going to increase our impact because now more than ever, the world needs innovative planning and proved solutions. We'll be more data-driven, not just serving communities and doing good works, but measuring what we do so we can scale up our successes and share more compelling stories about the good we do. We will expand our reach by welcoming new people into Rotary and finding new ways to connect with people who share our commitment to making our communities and ourselves better. We'll enhance participant engagement by making sure everyone who connects with us gets even more out of their experiences than they put in. And we'll increase our ability to adapt, because staying ahead of change while staying true to who we are is exactly how we make sure we have the staying power it takes to lead a new century of change. Rotary's action plan is ambitious, but we can do it. If we work together on new ways to think, plan, and take action, we will bring our communities and our organization to new heights. Our legacy is in the making. Ready to do your part? Let's show the world what it means to be people of action.
So that video will be available to you. I'm going to share the slides with you following. But Vince, I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about the importance of planning, and as a president in your role, when you were president and what some of the things that you did.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Actually, just to begin, I'm going to give a very, very big thank you and shout out to all the members of the clubs that were very understanding and accommodating for Christine's schedule. Thank you all for your understanding and participation with that. And Rob, a quick update for you. Halfway through the game is 3-1 Oilers. So there. Okay, now on to our program. So one of the things that past RI President Jennifer Jones always talked about was the North Star. And really, when we talk about planning, it's about having a target, where you want to go. I mean, planning is so important. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and sharing with you is not new. It's really intentional and it's focused. And if we really, really think about it, every one of us works for an organization or maybe we have our own business or whatever. But I mean, like it or not, we're in the business of running our clubs, running our district, running the business of Rotary. And any other business, you would be planning. If you want to be successful, you have to plan. And like the bottom point says, what gets planned gets done. So it's intentional and it's focused.
Oh, awesome, Vince. Thank you so much. So I'm going to quickly just take you through a few pieces of the action plan. And as you are looking at the pieces I'm going to share with you, something that I would ask you to do is think about what is it that I can take back to my club? Because we're mindful that as you continue to navigate and as you are a leader of your club, that change takes time. We're all change makers. I am, and Christina knows this as one of her trainers from the zone. I'm a shift disturber. So I always look at how can I shift things a little bit and continue to just help to do a little bit more for the benefit of all. And so when we start to talk about one item from the plan is on increasing our impact. We know that it is important for us to continue to look at what we do. I desire to do more impact. I have a strong desire to ensure that we continue to do work around food security and that we look at the intersection between food security, economic well-being, the health and well-being and mental state of individuals, but also take it further to understand what it'll mean in the future of our young people. That's just around the topic of food security. You can find a topic as well that you can explore and dive deeper to and explore with it to understand the data of what it means and help to lead through your club to say, my goodness, here we have some opportunities to look at this data and respond in our communities. So look at ways you can find a project, look at ways that you can measure that project, but also, as we know, we never do anything alone. We're always stronger together. And how can you partner with possibly other clubs within your community, your district, outside of your district? We know there's many Rotarians that want to do more. So that's just something as a starting point. The other part to think about now is expanding our reach. How are we inclusive? How are we inviting Rotaractors to our club? How are we inviting neighbors that we maybe have not been part of Rotary in the past? How do we ensure we look at DEI through a new lens and bring new people together? There's so many opportunities. It can be a community barbecue. It could be by reaching out to that neighbor that you know is going to be shoveling really hard this winter and say, I see that you're shoveling a whole bunch of neighbors and other people's. Why don't you come to Rotary? Why don't you come and join us and get involved? Doing the ask can sometimes be the hardest part, but it's so much fun. And so look at the Rotary resources. You're going to be speaking further about that later in today's program, but do take a look at the great material that are there for you. The other aspect is how do we increase participation? Now, Vince, I'm going to turn this to you. You have some fantastic stories to share.
Okay, well, one of the things that we did, and again, Rotary provides you a myriad of tools, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about those a little bit later. But I want to focus on just one, and that was there's a tool called the Club Checkup. And I'm going to ask a question: with any business, with any club, any organization, what is the most valuable asset of that organization? Hands up if everybody thinks it's the people. Everybody would agree with that? I don't see anybody. A couple hands up.
Yeah.
It is the people. And the most interesting thing is the best ideas that you have from any business, club, organization, or whatever come from your own people. So one of the things that the Club Checkup does, is it lays out a myriad of questions that you can survey your own people, and it gauges the strength of your club, what interests your own members. And Tracy already mentioned there's two main things that people really, really seek in clubs, and that is friendship, fellowship, and service. And a lot of these great ideas came as a result of our survey, and they spoke loud and clear. The beautiful thing is that we had 100% participation in our club. And as a result of their ideas, and we did a lot of wacky things, in 1 year, we were able to increase our club membership by 25%. It was amazing.
So
back to you, Tracy.
Thanks so much, Vince. And a piece to think about too as well when looking at doing a club survey, it's also really important to look at what are some of the challenges. Maybe somebody's not feeling like they're part of the club. What a great opportunity then to sit down with them and have a coffee, explore what they might be their area of concern or some of the issues. So again, the club survey, encouraged to do so, but participation and getting all involved is a really important part. And adapting. How do we adapt? How many clubs still meet 4 times a month or at every week? We don't need to. Our eyes said, no, please do as what works for your club. So if your club says, I desire to meet once a month and then do service 3 times a month or do service once a month, you have that flexibility. But by doing the club survey, you start to bring new perspectives in. You start to bring new ideas. So just something to think about as you're looking. But as you think about your club, there may be things that also might need to shift. We know that there are invocations that may make others feel not involved or may feel excluded. So there's certain things that when you do the club survey or when you start to really work within to get perspectives, it helps you to see the broader picture. So small change can make the world a difference, and it helps you. Now, one of the things that RI has given you, and I know you, as I say, you're going to be speaking more in a little bit, but they've given you a fabulous tool. Vince, tell me about this tool.
The Action Plan Toolkit is really, really easy to follow. And it's so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's all laid out there. And, it's not that you have to do everything in here, but I mean, there's so much valuable information and a roadmap for you to follow. So it's for you to use. It's perfectly free. And, I can't emphasize enough for everybody to take advantage of this because it's intentional, it's focused, and it saves you a pile of administration and a pile of starting from scratch. It's there for you.
So I'm going to put the link in the chat for this great resource for and I'm going to encourage you to take time to go through this page and explore what is it the tool that is available for you that will support you. And as we get ready to close off today, I have one more ask. I ask you to start the discussion. I ask you to explore, engage, and build. Include your club members, include your other fellow members from your board, and consider what is one new thing that you want to bring to your club. So Vince and I are really, really passionate about seeing clubs be strong, seeing Rotarians feel fantastic, engaged, and empowered. And so we share with you our learnings and we share how we've done it. And we just really encourage you to think out of the box. You've got this. You're amazing leaders. You're stepping into a fantastic leadership role, and have fun while you're doing it. So thank you so much, Rob, for having us, and Christina for having us tonight. I'll put our emails in the chat. We'd love to connect. We love to work with clubs directly, or if you have some just specific questions, we're there for you.
Go Rotary,
Great.
go.
Great. Thanks, Vince and Tracy. Thanks for all you do for Rotary. Great presentation. Moving right along, Cam Stewart. I'm gonna ask Cam to pop on. He's the chair of the District Indigenous Learning Committee, just to talk about the importance of reconciliation work. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure. I've met many people here on the call here today, and so I want to bring it back to I think what people have talked about. What brought them into Rotary, and so. What brought me, and I was a Rotarian 15 years ago, or almost 14 years ago, and I left Rotary because I didn't find it was a place for me. And it was DG Christine Rendell had some my friend had some coffees with me, invited me back in. And so I started doing some DEI work. And I said, actually, I do a lot of that in my day-to-day, but I really have a passion on Indigenous issues. So she invited me to a newly formed Indigenous Relations Committee. And that's where my journey started. And we formed a committee of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. One of the first, again, it was different. It was kind of like, what, you're going to have non-Indigenous people on your committee? And I said, that's the only way you do this kind of work, is you invite, you get expertise, and nothing about us without us is a term that's used quite a lot. And so we invited people in, and our mandate is actually is to provide Indigenous perspectives and advice to the Rotary District. We're not doing things. We're here to provide advice to the district, the leaders, and the clubs in any way possible to help you increase your engagement work and to do any truth and reconciliation work. We do this by facilitating Indigenous training and learning opportunities for the clubs and members. We've had on-the-land training, we have virtual training. We present at clubs. This year we presented in Calgary, we presented in Brooks, I presented in Waterton. We also make district programs and service more accessible and relevant to Indigenous individuals and communities. So we provide advice to the district as well as to clubs on how do you make your programs and services relevant? How could we make Rotarians' time, talent, and treasures impact Indigenous issues? We're also strengthening and expanding relationships with Indigenous communities and organizations. So we're doing that, and we're helping you do that. And so we're not want to step on any toes. So if you or your members have good relations, great, but maybe you can share them and share them with other clubs in your area. And we identify opportunities for Rotary to support Indigenous related initiatives. Through this work, I think Christine talked about being people of action. Last year, some of you may know, I received International Award from Rotary. I received the it was called Person of Action Champion of Inclusion. And through that process, they actually did a video. So I'm hoping I can share that through sharing my screen, if that's okay.
You should be able to share your screen, Cam.
Okay.
Yep. There's no audio. Is there supposed to be audio, Cam?
Yeah.
There's a little checkbox that you have to check before you share that says to share audio.
Okay. So before I share.
So unshare.
Maybe stop the share. Stop the share for a sec.
Yeah. And I share.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so on your share screen, you should see a little checkbox in the corner that says share audio.
Oh, share sound, yeah.
Yeah, share sound, yeah. That's the one.
Okay. Let's try this again. I'll just backtrack.
Growing up, we were never taught about First Peoples in our history in Canada. Towards the end of my career as a police officer in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, I attended Truth and Reconciliation Commission events to listen to Indigenous people and elders. It was here I discovered the history of residential schools, colonization, systemic discrimination, and the ongoing impacts these have had on our Indigenous youth, families, and communities. This was a revelation to me, and I had to rethink my journey. Throughout my career, I received various awards for my work, but it was not until I was honored with an eagle feather and later gifted the Blackfoot name of Magatstapinakum, Red Morning, at which time I knew my true calling was to advance Indigenous inclusion in Canada. I have a new cultural understanding. I try to see things through an Indigenous perspective, with my relationships with people and the environment. I was sharing these insights and advising government and businesses when the Rotary District Governor asked me to support its outreach to local Indigenous communities. Our District Indigenous Relations Committee is unique because it has representation from non-Rotarian Indigenous leaders. It facilitates training for clubs and members and provides supports for Rotary and Indigenous communities to co-create engagement opportunities. A young Blackfoot artist developed a logo to promote our joint work, and she portrayed two hands shaking in a traditional medicine wheel, representing our commitment to view our work through an Indigenous lens. In my teachings, we start by facing the east, towards the sunrise, the new beginnings. And its totem animal is the keen-eyed eagle, which seeks the truth. The south is the direction of the full warm sun. The totem animal is the mouse, who knows intuitively what is fair and right. The blue section is the west, a place of spiritual striving. The totem animal is the bear, which uses introspection and its senses to build relationships and goodwill. The north, the color white, symbolizes snow and wisdom of the elders. The totem animal, the buffalo, provides all of its possessions to the benefit of the entire community. After being gifted this medicine wheel image with its 4 directions, our district committee realized there was a connection with Rotary. Its guiding principle of the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all? A youth-focused Interact Club was formed at one of our reserve schools, and clubs and Indigenous groups are collaborating on projects, making programs and services more accessible and relevant to their communities. By building relationships with our Indigenous neighbors, our clubs are creating a more welcoming and inclusive culture. I am actively working to promote equality and protecting human rights for Indigenous people. I refuse to stay silent, and I'm committed to using my influence to remove barriers of full inclusion and participation.
Yeah, so thanks for taking time to watch that video. I wanted to say that not only did Rotary help me engage, but I've been approached by many Rotarians across our district. It said, you know, I was about to leave Rotary, but when we started doing Indigenous work, that's engaged me. Some Rotary clubs have 15 to 20 members on their Indigenous Relations Committee. And so there's really great engagement. We have seen a huge amount of investment of time, talent, and treasure in Indigenous projects. Everything from the Calgary North Club, the Raymond, Cardston clubs, River Okotoks, the East Club, Chinook, Canmore. The Downtown Club is it has just grown leaps and bounds on what they do and how they do it. The Calgary West, Calgary Heritage Park, and the Cochrane clubs. That's just to name a few. I know there's a lot more out there. But what we're seeing is that it's engaging members, especially young members. We're having trouble actually vetting people wanting to come on to our committee because there's such interest. The last 3 members, including Keith here on here, that have joined our district relations committee are new members because they're joining their club and they're saying, I'm interested in Indigenous relations, and their club is doing a good job of saying, you know, go talk to the DRIC and see if there's a place, see how we can start our own committee. And so it is a great way for engaging people. We're also seeing a growth of both Indigenous people joining Rotary and Indigenous people self-identifying in clubs. I was at a High River Okotoks club where I asked a very simple question in a brave space, and we had about 8 people self-identify as having Indigenous ancestry or relations that made this work important to them. And so our role coming up is very much youth focused, and so I'm glad we're aligned with the district. We've started a program this year with Seeds Connection, where we have funded students from Indigenous and non-Indigenous schools to do some on-the-land training. And that is hopefully going to lead to some more projects and maybe even interact clubs on reserve. one of the things that we're really hoping this year coming up, we have a district grant. And so what we're wanting to do is help clubs outside of the Calgary area. Calgary is doing very good, as you heard, the Calgary area clubs. What we'd really like to do is work with clubs in Lethbridge, Heart River, Medicine Hat, and Red Deer. And we have funds to host some engagement sessions and training sessions with members, with clubs, and with local Indigenous populations to see what we can do to learn about each other and move forward. And so please come talk to me. I'll put my email on the thing here. Please contact me, and if there's anything that we can do to help you in your club's journey, by all means. And I see about Swift Current, yes, if Swift Current wants to do something, we can help arrange it. We can help bring protocol, tobacco. We can help do things. We're not here to, people say, well, are you trying to decolonize Rotary or indigenize? No, we want to help Rotary understand Indigenous ways, help Indigenous people understand Rotary ways. It's one of the things we found is Indigenous people and a lot of newcomers have no idea what Rotary is. And so what we're doing is building bridges that are really going to be the foundation for us in the future. And this district is leading the way. And I got to thank our current and previous leadership and club leaders that are doing all the heavy lifting. Our club is just mentoring them. If you have any questions, feel free to, I've got a couple minutes. Otherwise, I'll put my thing in the email. And plus, and like I say, plus Red Deer clubs, Megan, please have your clubs get a hold of me. We've already been approached by Lethbridge clubs that are interested in doing something, a gathering or something. We're going to have a big youth gathering in Calgary. So please, all the Calgary clubs, keep that aware. There's a big youth gathering on October 4th. That's going to include other service groups like Kinsmen and Lions, as well as other funders and foundations. And so, please put that on your agenda as a way to hear what's going on and see how we can partner with other Indigenous and non-Indigenous groups.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cam. Thanks for all you do for Rotary. When I was in Singapore for the international convention, I walked in the House of Friendship, and the first thing I saw was a big picture of Cam. So you're worldwide, you're everywhere. So there you go. So what I want to do is I'm conscious of, I know it's Zoom 2 hours. It's a long time to share the screen, but we still have lots of content. We're going to take a quick 5-minute stretch break here. So please be conscious of that. Just quickly, 5 minutes. It's 8:05, 8:10. We're going to get going again. So just 5 minutes. If you need to stretch, grab a drink, use the facilities. Don't flush though. We have a water crisis. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, everyone, let's get back at it here. So excited for the next presentation. I know Christine already talked about Chad earlier. Chad Hayson, he's the District Public Image Chair. So he's going to walk us through some ideas to help enhance your public image. Go ahead, Chad.
Sorry, everybody. Okay. Let me share my screen here. My apologies here. I'm not a Zoom guy. There we go. Okay.
Perfect. Looks good.
All right. So brief introduction. I'm Chad Hayson, Public Image Chair, here to help for 3 years. I have a background in marketing and a passion for storytelling, which is really what we're here to talk about from a brand standpoint. We have a goal to attract people, bring more people to the club, but also to make people generally in the public aware of who we are and what we want to do. If they are attracted to the shared values that we have, then they're more inclined to come and ask questions and eventually come join a club that's a good fit for what they want to give back to the community. So how do we tell that story in a way that's attractive and get it out there so that they can start making that decision? As well, how do we tell the bigger story of Rotary, but then focus down on our individual club stories? Because while we have guiding principles and a wonderful story to tell at an international and district level, we have, in my opinion, much more interesting stories to tell at a club level. So what I want to do with the help of all of you over the next few years is train how to tell those stories and then how to get more exposure to those stories to the right audiences. I speak to it as 20 positive and consistent points of contact. And again, we've all seen Rotary out there. We see it on social media, we see it in the news, we see it float in the parade. We're at an event where we recognize the aprons, the logo. And we want to make sure that we're all contributing to a positive point of contact and a defined point of contact for the Rotary brand. And that's why we've provided guidelines at a district and international level of how we have our logo presented, the way that we speak about ourselves, the way that we want our website and our messaging to come across. So all of these things help guide the larger Rotary brand. But of course, the more attractive, in my opinion, and I think on an individual level, is those smaller stories, those individual club stories that feed into the grander story of Rotary. So you have a brand story to tell, and that is the way we're going to persuade people to be interested in Rotary Club. So over the next couple years, and actually just over the next month or so, as Christina starts to tour across the district and visit all the individual clubs, we're going to pull those stories out of you. We're going to help get the ball rolling by sharing them and showing you how you can share them. But before you can share them, though, you have to define it. So we're going to walk you through some of the exercises and basic practices. We're all storytellers at heart. We all grew up as kids enjoying a story. We all know how to tell a good story if we're passionate about it. And I believe everybody here is passionate about Rotary. But we're going to help you identify your unique offering within that established Rotary brand. I already heard Tracy speaking to the survey that you can take. Wonderful starting point. I have some other documents and exercises that I can share with everybody and even walk you through if we find time to meet over the next little while. But understand what it is that your members value and what it is that makes you unique. And if you're not meeting every week, or you have, you're more focused on lunch and the social aspect, or you're more focused on giving back, or it's a sporting club, or perhaps it's a club that's passionate about Indigenous. We all have that story to tell. I loved what Cam said earlier. He says he talked to somebody that said, I was going to leave, but then I heard about Indigenous. And we can take Indigenous out of there and say, I heard about all kinds of different things. And not that Indigenous isn't a great one. But it's by telling that story and having people hear it that they can, beyond the grand scheme of Rotary, learn about your specific branding and your twist on it. So we're going to help you do that. You're going to identify the people that value it in key audiences. Consider them in everything you say. Again, not trying to be all things to all people. We can help you kind of focus on the unique you, and then help you create key messages that can be used to express that across platforms that we'll get to in a second, and distribute your messages where your audiences are already looking for them. So we have a bunch of brand questionnaires. There's resources that you can access online on the district brand website. And we'll share all of this stuff that you can, if you want to, and we can help you walk through it too, help define your own story. Once you have that story, we're going to get those 20 points of contact across 3 primary medias. Your website, learning how to make your website attractive, how to give a positive user experience that's quick and accessible. We always say a website should be kind of like a hotel, where the foyer is welcoming to everybody, but then you can quickly understand which elevator or which room to go to. So we can kind of help you with those best practices, and make sure that when people hear about Rotary and are most likely to next go to the website, they have a positive experience and a well-defined experience that helps them understand specifically about Rotary, but then specifically about your club and your spin on Rotary. Social media is another one. It doesn't have to be complicated. We understand that you might not have a full-time social media person, but we can certainly equip you with some tips and tools, as well as some templates, and some fun alliteration, using some resources that we can provide so that social media can be shared. And again, if we all share with each other social media, it doesn't become so burdensome. If you post, once or twice a week, but you can always share another club's post, or at the international or district level, then that's going to take a lot of the pressure off. We can also provide you with some really easy design tools. If you know how to use Microsoft Word, you can use tools like Canva and that, to create some templates, and we can show you how to stay on brand, so that you're never worried about if you're using the logo correctly or anything like that. We can show you where those guides are. And then media relations, for social media, understanding that you don't have to be all things in all places. Find a social media platform that makes sense for you. Probably Facebook. We don't need to be chasing the TikToks and Twitters or X or whatever that is. If you choose to, that's fine, but it can be intimidating when you take social media on as the entire package. We can help you find something that's going to work well for you. And then media relations, again, we always have a story to share, and media loves to pick up these stories, we find, especially with all the goodwill that we deliver. But understanding who the reporter is that you might want to send that story to, how they prefer to get it, when they like to get it, making it real smooth and easy for them to share your story so that we can spread the word a little bit quicker. Again, I talked about those tools. We've got the Rotary Brand Center District newsletter, which sends stories and updates, fodder for social media, if you will, but also helps you understand what other clubs are doing and what they aren't doing that you're doing that's a unique part of your story. And then Canva and Brand Center, again, these are things, tools that can be used and shown, real easy tools. So you can make social media and just design newsletters and emails and signage that is attractive. And then ChatGPT, AI, and member contributions. Don't be overwhelmed that you don't have enough, you don't have a full-time storyteller or social media manager. Learn how to glean from your members' stories, make it easy for them to share them with you. And as well as lean on some AI. It can be real easy to make posts. You don't have to be an author or a professional writer to have some good social media posts and content generated. And then Loomly and Hootsuite are tools that will allow you to schedule in advance, so you don't need someone working 24/7. That's it. That is a real small, reduced version of a larger presentation that I give, one that I would be happy to walk you through. The key message is, if you don't know how to tell your story, if you are confused about how to get your website, if you're just frustrated with it or looking for a way to improve it, you don't know how to approach social media, these are all things that I'm available to all of you over the next few years. I'll make my contact easy to find. And if we want to schedule a half hour, or if we meet in person, I'm going to go meet some of the clubs as part of Christine's tour. Or if you're close to Calgary, I'm happy to come meet, talk, and help you find the way to tell your story.
Great, thanks, Chad. I know that was a very quick run through. I also know you have kids to get to bed, so thanks for popping on. Really appreciate your time and all the stuff that you do, and obviously so important. So definitely, everyone on this call, make sure you get Chad. Maybe just put your contact info in the chat, and if anyone needs to reach out to you after the fact, please do so.
I will, sure. How do I give back control? Is that just X out, or?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, there should be a stop screen share. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'll put my information here.
All right. And again, I know I've said this already, these are all condensed versions of the main presentation. So please reach out to any of the presenters after the fact if you want more information. And especially on the next couple topics, the next one is going to be Jeff Foss on growing membership. So go ahead.
Oops, here we go. Thank you. So this has been, last time was very interesting as well, but it's interesting to kind of think of all of the presentations we've had already as sort of a funnel. And we're now kind of coming down to, okay, how do we put all of this information to work? We've got kind of the vision from Christina. We've got Vincent and Tracy telling us about the Rotary Action Plan and the purpose or the importance of goal setting. We've heard from Cam about how we can bring in new members through reconciliation. And we've heard from Chad about how to kind of tell people the story, and of course Nathan how to kind of work with Rotaract. So this is actually really good. What I want to talk about in the time that I do have, I believe it's 15 minutes. Each of you have been emailed a worksheet, and I'm going to share my screen here. So I can get to one that looks like this. So this is the one for my club, but each of you has a different worksheet. And this is from last year. So for all of the club leaders or those that are going into a leadership role, I'm hoping that this worksheet becomes your starting point for your year. And to start this year, it's important that you see where we were last year. So this gets mailed out to you in August once we have the year-end final numbers of members. So we provide you with a graph that gives you a year-over-year view of your membership growth or whatever direction your chart takes. And then we also give it to you in table format. And some of the important things for you to look at here are what is our club's attrition rate and what is our attraction rate? So are we gaining or are we losing? When I look at my own club, I see that I'm a touch over 15%. 15% is the North American average. We're close, but I think we can work on notching that downward a little bit in terms of attrition. Some attrition that you're just not going to be able to change, and that's the attrition due to life happens. We've had members pass on, we've had members move out of the area for business or jobs, or we've had members whose lives have changed and they just don't have time to do outside pursuits any longer. And we hope to get them back, and sometimes we do. The other, probably the most important number here is your club's attraction rate. So remember, this is a 3-year average. And so you clearly want your attraction rate to be greater than your attrition rate. And to the degree that you can do that is to the degree that your club will grow. This is all getting to the point of what problem does my club need to solve with regards to membership? Is it a retention issue? My club's attrition rate exceeds 15%. Or is it insufficient new member attraction? So our attraction rate is less than 5% above our attrition rate. Or is it neither? Your club is doing well, your attrition is low, and you have a very good attraction rate. But it's important to know that as club leaders coming into the next year, what problem you're trying to solve. And when I send you the next one for the 24-25 year, you're going to have your starting number for July 1. And you're going to, when I send this to you in August, you'll have a current number. So you'll see if there was any difference between July and August. And then this is where you'll declare what your goal is. So if your goal is 5% growth, so in this example, that would be 38. And then you look at what is your net membership growth, and that's B minus A. So in this case, 2. And then if I look at what is my average annual attrition that I need to replace 5 people. That means that I need to go out and find, if I want to get to 38 by the end of the year, I know I'm going to statistically lose 5. I want to grow by 2 more. So that means I actually have to go out and find 7 new members to join our club to meet my goal. So that's how I want you to use this goal worksheet. And I'm happy to go over it with any of you afterwards. So I've emailed it to you, so send me an email back, and I'm happy to go over your club's growth rate. And I'll just quickly now just zip into my presentation, because if I got nothing out of my mouth tonight other than how to review and work on this worksheet, that was the most important thing. So this is the presentation I gave at the in-person pets. I'm going to go through it a little more quickly though, because I've focused now on a good part of it. So growth trends we'll look at attraction or retention. And again, we talked about defining the problem to solve and the importance of goal setting. So I've updated this now to the end of May. This is our district's growth. So we're currently sitting at 1,596 members. When we started the year at 1,478 members. And you may look at this and go, wow, we've had a banner year. But what happens in June every year? Anybody hazard a guess? Just shout it out because I can't see it.
We send out an invoice for money.
Right. And what does that make some people do? Well, some people vote with their feet. And so we have a little dip. We call it the June swoon. And it's a phenomenon that is certainly North America wide. And the chart looks like this. So in the yellow line is where our district has been historically over the last 4 years. So that's our 4-year average. And the green line is where we would want to be if we were to attain actually a 0.5% increase in membership at the end of the year. The blue line is our actual. So it's interesting how closely that tracks with where we want to be, and the shape is the same as the 4-year average. And this drop off at the end here is what I refer to as the June swoon. So when you're planning your membership for the upcoming year, take that into account. Do everything we can back here to prevent this here. And that is through a lot of the things that we've heard about today. And that's engagement, communication, finding a purpose, fellowship, and having fun. And all of those things will help mitigate the June swoon. So I went through this, but here's some examples of other worksheets. So annual attrition rates, we see things like 20%, 28%. I think the lowest one I saw was 7.1%. Under 10% is world class in terms of attrition. And then attraction rates, we've seen some pretty good attraction rates, but some that are relatively low. We see different patterns in membership where you have a high starting point and we're working our way down towards the bottom, and others where we were fairly high and then we dropped a bunch and then we're climbing back up again. So look at your data. Your data will tell you where to go. So in terms of the importance of attracting new members, of course, it's vital for our club's vitality and growth. If the club isn't growing, it's essentially dying. It's stagnant or dying. Sometimes the death is a slow death. You start missing, hey, where's Bob? Or hey, where's Sue? Haven't seen them in a long time. And eventually it gets to the point where you go, you know what? Yeah, we've just lost, over the last 5 years, we've just lost 15 critical members. It can happen. So you got to grow. You got to keep the gas pedal pressed. You can do that through a number of things. You have community outreach programs, social media campaigns we just heard about, networking events, and collaborations with other local organizations. In terms of let me just get rid of this thing. It just bothers me. I don't know if you can see my control panel. But so in terms of community outreach, examples of successful outreach programs. So a lot of clubs do these things, food drives, have different volunteer opportunities, educational workshops, environmental initiatives, and then impact on the community and club visibility. That, again, kind of feeds back into what Chad was saying. So it builds positive reputation, it increases your visibility, and it demonstrates a commitment to community. So you're answering the question for people, why would I want to be a Rotary member? And why would I want to associate my profession with what's happening in Rotary? And so you're giving them confidence by communicating clearly what it is we do. The importance of engaging with diverse communities. So it ensures inclusivity, it broadens our membership base, and fosters diverse perspectives. Control back here. There we go. So I won't go into this in detail because Chad did already, but leveraging social media. My club in Okotoks is on Facebook, so please look us up. We've branded ourselves as the Friendly Club, the Rotary Club of Okotoks, the Friendly Club, and but you can call yourself whatever. You can call yourself the Fun Club or whatever. Showcase your activities, engage with people online. I can't tell you the number of people that we've had come into our club simply because of social media. Organize networking opportunities, have collaborations with businesses and professionals. There's the importance of creating meaningful connections and turning networking into membership or opportunities. I know the Stampede Club does kind of a business club where there's networking involved with some of the local business owners and whatnot. That's a perfect opportunity to find new members. Building partnerships with NGOs, schools, and businesses, and joint projects and events. My club has been working with the Optimist Club, and so find another organization within your community that you can work together with. We don't see each other as competitors, but we're both doing service in our community, just in different ways. And in terms of addressing attrition, Dan Doherty says culture eats strategy for breakfast. So talking about the survey we talked about earlier with Vince and Tracy. So find out what's going on in your club. Use the survey. If your club is small, take people out for coffee and find out what's going on. Let's get a handle on the culture in our clubs. There's the importance of communication feedback. So make sure that you're communicating regularly with your membership and that you're taking into account what members are saying. Create a welcoming and inclusive environment. What do people feel when they come into your club? Does it feel welcoming? Does it feel inclusive? Do you see people greeting each other warmly? Providing opportunities for member engagement and growth. So make sure that people don't feel like they're not being put to work on something, and find something that suits their skills, talents, and abilities. And then again, avoiding the June swoon, it starts on day one. So July 1, I want everyone on this call thinking about the June swoon. How do I prevent that or mitigate that for June of 2025? And then you have the whole the runway in front of you to make sure that you mitigate that. You identify what are the pain points, the pinch points in the club, and then engage. And then again, with regards to attrition, we talked about the run rate. Make sure you know your numbers, you know your run rate, and then take steps to improve that year over year. And there was one last thing I wanted to share with you, and that is a website that's on My Rotary, and I will pop this URL into the chat. But there's everything you ever wanted to know about membership in one page. And we just recently went over this with Diana Edwards from the RI office. And it's a very good page. It has links to everything that you could think of. We want to look at how do you do all of these things. And then it takes you to that section address, assess, and adapt. So basically all the different kinds of surveys, engaging current members, connecting with prospective members, and making new members feel welcome, creating an inclusive club culture, strengthening your club, right to starting a new club and looking at different Rotary Club models. So Christina talked about that. There's all kinds of different models. So maybe we need to help morph your club into a different type of club. Stay current. And then there's various different tools here. So please do look at this page, earmark it, and make sure that you come back to it time and time again, because it will provide the answers to a lot of the challenges that the clubs are facing. And with that, I'll turn it back to Rob and/or for questions.
Yeah, unfortunately, no time for questions, but thank you, Jeff. And as always, thanks for what you do for Rotary. Please put your email address in the chat so that anyone can get in touch with you after the fact.
You bet.
All right, carrying on. District Governor for 13 more days, Mr. Kurt Kowalchuk. And I know this is a half-hour presentation normally, so let's see if we can get this done in 15 minutes. Go ahead, Kurt, take it away. How to run an effective board meeting.
Great. Well, thanks so much. But yeah, who's counting yet, Rob? Anyway, so I'm going to ask every one of you a question. How many of you been to a meeting and you're going, boy, this is boring or dull. We're not getting anything done. Everybody's not getting a chance to speak that wants to. Things are repetitive. Put up your hands. How many of you have been at a meeting like that? Come on, be truthful. I think there should be more hands than that because anyway, so being presidents and sometimes secretaries, depending on your club, you're going to be leading meetings, in particular your board meetings. And that's what I want to talk to you today. How do you lead an effective board meeting or formal meeting? Well, one way is that you get a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, a massive book, great for a doorstop, or you can get the Robert's Rules of Order that's meant for smaller organizations, volunteer organizations, like Rotary clubs. And even that, pick and choose what you want out of it. So what I'm going to talk about today is all truly in here, but I'm not going to talk quite in their language. I'm going to talk about more practical things and what you can do. And I will point out there's no police that are going to come around and ensure you're doing everything I tell you. These are meant as some helpful hints, some ideas, suggestions, and what I've seen on effective board meetings and any other type of meetings. So I'm going to share my screen here. There we go. And I'm going to talk quickly about conducting a meeting. And it really starts before the meeting. And it's having all your board members submit their reports, the treasurer's reports, secretaries, your various committee reports ahead of the meeting, ideally about a week in advance. You should have your minutes from the previous meetings and an agenda ready to go. And making sure those documents are available ahead of the meeting to all attendees. So board reports, yep, submitted 1 week ahead, highlighting all the accomplishments of the committee or secretary, treasurer, whatever, highlighting challenges that may be needing some input from the board, and any motions that need to be raised in the meeting. So why submit it ahead? So people have time to read these things, your reports. Because the worst thing you can do, and I've been to meetings like this, is that somebody has a report in front of them and they start reading it and they read out for 5-10 minutes. Well, trust me, everybody else on your board can read. Trust them to be interested enough that they'll read your report. When it comes your turn to speak and make your report, really only if you need to talk about, looking for input, or if there's a motion that needs to be made at that meeting to make a decision. Other than that, keep it simple, keep it moving. Don't want to spend all day on with every person on your board, or your meeting's going to go on forever. Again, submit the report ahead, people will read it. So good minutes are important, so people know what's happened in the previous meeting. A list of attendees are normally a list of all motions carried and rejected, namer of mover and seconder of the motions, and any key points of the discussion. Don't try and get a word for word of everything that was said. And what time was it called to order and adjournment? Those are some of the key items in typical minutes. What's in an agenda? Well, again, simple, keep it simple, a call to order, a motion to approve the agenda. And a part of that motion is asking for people for any other items that need to be added to the agenda that didn't get into it. Ideally, it should have been in the report, things that they wanted to talk about at the meeting, or motions in particular. That's followed by a motion to approve the minutes. And this is simply approving what was said at the previous meeting. If there's something that's incorrectly documented in the minutes, that's what should be discussed and changed. This is not time to discuss the outcomes of what was in the minutes. It's only agreeing that the minutes reflect the previous meeting. You should have a section for each board member, and you should have already included any of the motions that have come up in their reports already be in the agenda, so that they're very clear what motions are going to be raised at the meeting, and then any other business and an adjournment. Often if there's special major items to be discussed, those could be added to the agenda as individual items. Right, starting on time. Respect everybody's time. So you want to start on time, you want to finish on time, you want to keep the meeting moving. First thing is, do you have quorum for your meeting? What's quorum? Most clubs, it would be stated in their bylaws. What's quorum for your meeting? Pretty typically, it's 51% of your board members need to be in attendance, but it can vary. If it's not in your bylaws, then it could have been a decision at a previous meeting what your norms are. So determining if you have quorum or not. If you don't have quorum, you can still meet, you can still discuss. What you cannot do if you do not have quorum is pass any motions. That needs to wait until you actually have quorum. So how do you make a motion? So comes to agenda point, we have a motion. Well, one of your first is going to be to approve the agenda for the present meetings. So whoever makes the motion can make a few brief introductory comments. They move the motion and ask, a seconder is asked for. And this is really important, is that if nobody seconds the motion is dropped. And there is no discussion of the motion. If nobody's willing to second the motion, it means there's not enough interest to even talk about it. Keep moving. A special note here is that when you make a motion or second a motion, it does not necessarily mean you agree with the motion. Kurt, I'm making a motion. Why wouldn't I think it was a great idea? Well, I'll tell you why. Sometimes, and this I've seen this happen, I've had it happen to me, my experience in my own club is that people keep on asking, the board should discuss ABC, and you get, the board should discuss ABC, and the board has already sort of come to a decision and gone, don't want to do it. But until you actually make a motion, second it, and discuss it and vote on it, because now what you can do is that when somebody says the board should consider doing ABC, the board has talked about it, the board has discussed it, and the board has voted against doing it. That ends the discussion. Simple as that. That's the one reason you might want to do that. When discussing a motion, well, first of all, the chair is in control of the meeting. Nobody should be talking at the meeting unless recognized by the chair. This is very important. No side talking, no butting in, no just jumping in after somebody speaks. The chair needs to recognize people before they speak. And the board needs, a part of this ties to ensuring that everybody at the meeting has a chance to have their say. You don't want it monopolized by one or two people at the meeting. You want everybody to have their say, to be heard, not just feel that they're heard, to be heard. And it's important that before members speak for the second time, the chair should ask if anybody else wants to make a comment or speak before they recognize somebody to talk for a second time. The chair also needs to keep discussion on track. If this is the motion and somebody starts going over here, pull them back in. Don't let them derail your meeting. So calling for a vote. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. The discussion's wound down, you call the vote. Sometimes the discussion's becoming repetitive. People are saying the same thing over and over and over and over. Well, as chair, you call a halt to that, politely, of course, and call for a vote. You should restate the motion to make it clear to everybody what they're voting for. Ask for a show of hands. Who's in favor? Who's opposed? Typical motions, like I said, again, this would be in your bylaws, 51% to carry. The chair does not vote unless there's a tie. And certain issues, again, based on your bylaws, such as changing the bylaws themselves, you may need a higher percentage of the vote to carry the motion. Something that is not done is, according to Robert's rules, come back to that, is that you do not record who is in favor, who's opposed. You are making a decision as a group. If the majority is in favor, it's that simple. The board is in favor. You do not record who's in favor or who's opposed. Another interesting point is that you do not record abstentions. Actually, an abstention is effectively a vote against the motion, because you would need, again, 51% of the people voting to be in favor of the motion. Amending a motion. So you're talking away about this motion, it's being proposed, and it's pretty clear that the motion could be improved, that the discussions come around that, yeah, we should be doing something slightly different. Well, one way is simple. If both the mover and the seconder agree to the change to the motion, this becomes the new motion. If the mover and seconder both don't agree, then an amendment can be proposed, and which needs to be moved and seconded. The amendment is discussed, whether or not you're going to make the amendment, and that is voted on. Then you go back to your motion as amended and continue the discussion, and then you vote on the amended motion. So another motion is approved. One of the first ones is approving the agenda, typically moved by the secretary. Let's say chair will ask for any additions and then ask for a vote. This is not a time to discuss the items on the agenda. You're simply setting the agenda, not discussing the items on it. Don't get sidetracked. Approval of the minutes, same idea. Again, you're only looking to track what really happened at the last meeting, not discuss reports or anything else, progress on those items. You want to keep the meeting moving. It's great to have a time for each board member and give them the opportunity to speak. Do they have any concerns they want to raise? Again, do not have them read their entire report. But any concerns they'd like input from the board? Do they have any motions to be made that need to be voted on? And again, maybe want to talk about some ideas about the future and get board input on where they should be going, the committee should be going in the future. If they don't want to have to say anything, that's good as well. They have the opportunity. Other business, it's things that are not the responsibility of any board member, and I see a typo on my slide here. And it's items that to be discussed that if they were known ahead, they should have been listed in the agenda. Sometimes these will be big items that are span multiple committees or multiple board members' responsibility. They could have been things that were added during the meeting or back at the when you asked for amendments to the agenda. And if you have time, it's always nice to let each member to have a last word at this point, if time permits. Adjournment, try to end on time or early. People love to have getting some time back. Motion, the chair asks for a motion to adjourn. The motion is made, seconded, and this is a motion that does not need any vote. As long as it's seconded, your meeting's ended. And that is it for me. And I don't know if we have time for any questions, Rob.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no.
I will put a copy of
I
this.
know that was a.
Pardon me, Rob?
Go ahead.
I am going to put a copy of that in the chat of my presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Kurt. I know that was a speed through your presentation, so please, anyone reach out to DG Kurt. I think maybe after July 1st, I think it would be preferential for his schedule. I know he's super busy to wind up his term. So thanks for doing that. I'm just going to take 5 minutes here to do a quick run through where to find the Rotary Learning Center. Yeah, 30 seconds to go, 4-3 Edmonton. So looks like we're heading back to Edmonton. So the learning, I'm hoping that all of you incoming leaders have used the Rotary Learning Center already. So this is not new for most people. For those who haven't, it's a great resource for learning and development for your club, whether for your incoming leaders or even for your new members as part of your onboarding plan. Really, it's easy to use, it's easy to find, it's through RI, so it's on My Rotary, it's not through Club Runner. And then you click My Rotary here. And if you have a My Rotary login, you simply log in. If not, you need to create a My Rotary login. It's very easy. You just put in the email address that the Rotary already has for you on file, and then create a password. You just click your sign in, and it takes you to the homepage of My Rotary. So My Rotary is basically the member portion of the Rotary International website. Just like for your own club website, you have Club Runner, which is the member-only portion of your public domain. My Rotary is the member-only portion because anyone can go to my www.rotary.org, see what Rotary is all about, but My Rotary is the portion for members only. Once you're in My Rotary, this is what it looks like. And I'm sure all of you know where this page is because this is where you also go to do your goals and that type of stuff. Under Knowledge and Resources, scroll down here to the Learning Center, or you can also scroll down to the bottom. And there's also a link to, when you scroll down to the bottom, I thought there was a link down at the bottom. Yeah, right here, Learning Center. So you can click that as well. But this is a learning tool. So intuitively under Knowledge and Resources, Learning Center. Once you go into the Learning Center, it opens up to a great homepage. You have your dashboard on the homepage. Once it logs in from here, here we go. It loads usually it's really quick. Basically, it has a whole bunch of courses grouped by learning topic, and there's lots of courses that show up in multiple areas of the topic. So you basically click in, you can do individual courses, or they have what's called learning plan modules. And learning plan modules is basically courses that are grouped together for a related topic. So for you, the incoming leaders, there's a president basics and there's also a secretary basics. And it's going to be 8, depending on the module, 6, 7, 8 courses that are all grouped together to learn on a specific topic. Of course, it's not loading when I want it to load. Come on, Learning Center. Could be my internet. I've been getting unstable messages throughout the course of the thing tonight. So here we go. So in your top left-hand corner here, there's a learning catalog. So it keeps track of the courses that you've been enrolled in. Being that they're all correspondence courses, you can do it at your own pace. If you start a course and it takes a bit of time, you can leave it, go back into your catalog, and you can finish where you left off. So you don't need to sit in one sitting. There's some courses that are a quick 15, 20 minutes, half hour. There's some that take a bit longer depending on the amount of material in the course. So you don't need to do it in one sitting. But I would go view leadership courses here in the middle. And as you can see, there's club administration committee basics. Right here is the third one over. As you can see, your club president basics. As you can see, there's the learning plan. There's multiple tiles here, and it says there's 10 courses. Now, don't be daunted by the 4 hours and 15 minutes because that's the time for all 10 courses. It's not per course, but as soon as you go in here, it's going to open up the learning plan structure. So this is a great resource for you as incoming leaders to go, especially for the club presidents, the president-elects that are on the call today, to go on and just enhance some learning, again, just to arm you with more resources and tools for your club. There's a quick module about how to use the Learning Center, getting ready to be club president, managing club business, working with your leadership team, risk, the action plan, best practices for engaging members, Club Central, online membership leads, and foundation. So it's really good learning. Again, just plug away course by course by course. So if you haven't done this already, please take a moment to do so. There's public image in here. There's one for secretary, treasurer. So there's tons of information in here. So please, if you haven't used the Rotary Learning Center, please take a moment. It's very easy. Just make sure you have My Rotary, find the Learning Center, navigate around in here. There's also one too, in general here. When you go into general courses, there's areas of focus, which includes the new area of focus, the environment. There's Rotary Basics, which is a great module to do for even whether you're a veteran member and been a member for 10 years or a new member. But it's really good for, especially if you're recruiting new members, having new members join. It's really a great area. Doing the areas of focus and the Rotary Basics, you should incorporate that as part of your onboarding resource. Make sure your new members find out where the Learning Center is. But again, you do that as a leadership team in your club. From the top down, make sure you're doing it first, and then you can tell your members to use it. We only have about 20% of members within the district that you actually use the Learning Center. There's about 63% of the members of the district that have a My Rotary account, but from that, only about 27% of those members use the Learning Center. So this is very much an untapped resource. Use it, tell the rest of your club. If you need help, send me an email directly. Everyone on this call has my email, and I'm happy to help you get onto the Learning Center. And I'm also happy to come and do a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting for your club too, to just go through how to find this and just go like this and actually log into my computer. That's what I like doing over Zoom, because I can actually share my screen and be a guest speaker at your club just to talk about the Learning Center. So please use that. It's a hidden gem created by RI, updated by RI on a regular basis. So use that, incorporate that not only in your learning tools for your leaders, but also for your onboarding as well. So with that, that's 9 o'clock. Thank you everyone for your time and attention tonight. I hope that 2 hours have been helpful for you. Again, this has been a really condensed version of all of the presentations. I know you appreciate that from what we did back at the in-person session. I'm still hoping you found tidbits that will help you. Please reach out to any of the presenters that presented today if you want more detailed information. Any of them will be happy to speak to you individually. I really thank you for your time. This is going to be recorded, uploaded to the district YouTube channel. If you haven't gone there, just go to YouTube, type in Rotary District 5360. We just uploaded the update on the 2025 Calgary Convention from the host organizing committee from last Tuesday night. Make sure your members know that as well. If they want updates on what's going on with the 2025 convention, we're going to do that on a quarterly basis. So make sure you check out the district YouTube channel, and this presentation will be uploaded there too. But for the last word, Christina, take it away.
Thank you guys. Just echoing Rob's comments. I'm really looking forward to working together next year in 13 days. That Kurt's not counting. And I know that some of you have, like we talked about, you've been there, done that, and the idea of having to, be at another pets and sets for the 4th time around was somewhat frustrating. So thank you. We do really appreciate that you're here. We hope that it was informative, and in the very least that you know which faces to go to, this time around being president or secretary. So thank you again. I'm looking forward to the year, and please feel free to reach out and use me as a resource, use the district as a resource. We're all here to chat, and we're here to help any way we can. So let's take some action this year. It's going to be a fun one.
And with that, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your time tonight, and reach out to us if you need any help. With that, meeting's adjourned.